milestone, Kodak decided to bring back a bit of nostalgia. If you've lived in Rochester long, you'll remember the Kodak whistle. Well, today they wiped off the cobwebs and let her blow. For 5 decades, this steam whistle was a part of life in Rochester. Like clockwork, it signaled shift changes and quitting time and could be heard for miles.
Oh yeah, it's loud. We made it a point, if it was around noon, not to be next to the whistle when somebody was going to blow it.
Laverne McNamara used to blow the whistle and remembers those times fondly, when life was a little slower, an easier pace. In 1964, the whistle was put to rest. Times were changing. Today, other lifelong employees spent the day reminiscing.
We didn't have a West Kodak when I worked here. We have a West Kodak now. I would say there was a few buildings in West Kodak at the time, but now it's just like a big city out there.
Things certainly have changed. What began as 3 buildings with a few dozen workers has become a giant industrial park, covering nearly 2,000 acres with more than 20,000 employees. For old-timers, all this nostalgia brings back pride and loyalty, which is hard to match.
Well, I think it's the finest place to work in the world.
Today, 1 of every 10 jobs in Rochester is tied to this site. Although the old steam whistle is no longer needed to mark the hours, it'll be blown at noon this week for old time's sake. Liz, Dwayne?
Robin Taylor live at Kodak Park. Thank you.
It is a blast from the past, to be exact. The Kodak Park factory whistle has not been heard since it was retired in 1964. It was sounded again today and will be heard every day next week at noon to mark Kodak Park's centennial celebration. Like many of us, Kodak spokesman Paul Allen remembers the whistle from his childhood in the city, a memory quickly recalled today.
I recognized it. It was a familiar sound. It's one I grew up with. It was kind of a thrill to hear it again.
Yes, memories for many as the whistle sounded today. For years, it guided the day shift through the lunch break and the end of the workday. The old 5 o'clock whistle, literally. Memories today for those who rang it years ago.
As I remember it, I mean, it was just part of the job. I mean, it wasn't anything special, you know, that we blew the whistle. And like I say, I only worked there in the turbine room for a couple of years, and I moved on to a better job. And but today brought back a lot of memories.
For retirees like Laverne McNamara, and I suspect for some residents who lived in the Kodak Park area for a while, today was a time to look back to a simpler time, a simpler life in the Flower City. And as part of the Kodak Park celebration, a photo exhibit on the early days at Kodak will open tomorrow in Building 28. The exhibit will be open during regular business hours through this fall.
The big blow. whistle's going to sound on that too. Perfect. And the whistle we're going to use is actually called a 3-note gong. And it's using 135-pound steam. And we're going to be blowing this to celebrate Kodak Park's centennial celebration. We'll be blowing the first time at 10:45, and then during the weekday for 1 week we'll be blowing at noon. Last time this whistle was blown was 1964 by Matt Zelag.
You see the red light on it, Elmer?
The red light's running. If you're taping.
Yep. It's not ready yet.
What you got on your watch? 1 minute fast since the next 2 minutes. 1, 2 of them?
Oh, wait a minute.
Elmer!
Well, we got a couple minutes to go.
Elmer! 1, 2.
No, I'll tell you when.
There you go.
Is that still running? The red light's still on. Presented by Ron Toot My Whistle, Whipple. This is the 12 o'clock blow on June 14th, Friday. The first day of our celebration of 100 years of Kodak Park. Ready?
By shift number 2. 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
15.
Still waiting for Jane Fonda. She's over there.
See now you just see the outdoor light.
You're running. You're all set. Get a picture of him and shoot up.
Hey, Whipper. Whip. Run. Hey, run.
All right. Mail that to Jane Fonda for me.
the last time?
What?
We blew our noontime whistle for the last time at Kodak Park to end our celebration of 100 years here at Eastman Kodak Park.
Where is anybody?
That's on the goods bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot different.
Like this post represents the end of a long train, this is the end of our video on the Kodak Park Centennial 1991.
Center. You obviously should know at least the RS F&C rating of it, though, if it's in your workplace. Another thing I'd like to bring to your attention is this environmental and safety manual that we have in the Utilities Division. Utility memo people have their version of this lesser volume, but also what's in here that pertains to them they have, and it's a green volume. But this yellow Utilities Emergency and Safety Manual is really a life saver as far as I'm concerned. In this particular manual, you have such things as we just mentioned, the OSHA Hazard Communication Standard. It has things like the evacuation procedure.